Welcome to NTD Newsroom. I'm Paul Graney. A federal judge dismissing the indictments against former FBI Director James Comey and New York Attorney General Letitia James. Christmas coming to the White House as the First Lady welcomes the official Christmas tree, and President Trump says something good might just be happening in peace efforts between Russia and Ukraine. President Trump speaks with Chinese Communist Party leader Xi Jinping by phone. We'll let you know what they discussed. Senator Kelly is accused of breaching military law in a video to U.S. troops. The Pentagon has launched an investigation into the retired Navy pilot. The Trump administration moving to designate the Muslim Brotherhood as a foreign terrorist organization. What would this mean for Americans? An expert breaks it down for us. Your 401k may depend on the same 7 AI tech-driven stocks, but could this boom turn into a bubble? We ask an economist whether AI investments could drag down your portfolio.
This is NTD Newsroom, live from our global headquarters in New York City.
And it's great to have you here this Monday afternoon. A federal judge has dismissed the indictments against former FBI Director James Comey and New York Attorney General Letitia James. Judge Cameron McGowan Curry found that the appointment of interim U.S. Attorney Lindsay Halligan in Alexandria, Virginia was invalid. She said, quote, all actions following from Ms. Halligan's defective appointment, including the indictments against Comey and James, were unlawful exercises of executive power and are hereby set aside. The indictments against James and Comey were dismissed without prejudice, leaving open the possibility that the cases can be brought again, alleging the same conduct. It's unclear whether the Justice Department will appeal the decision. And the First Lady officially kicking off the holiday season by welcoming the Christmas tree to the White House, and President Trump saying that, quote, something good might just be happening in peace talks between Russia and Ukraine. We go now live to NTD Washington correspondent Mari Otsu, who's standing by at the White House. Mari, good afternoon.
Paul, good afternoon. Yes, today marks the official kickoff to Christmas time here at the White House, with the First Lady earlier today welcoming the official Christmas tree, a con-color fir, where it will be the centerpiece of the White House's Blue Room. The fir hails from Sydney, Michigan, and was chosen back in September, arriving at the White House today in a horse-drawn carriage for the First Lady's inspection. And tomorrow, President Trump will continue with the holiday festivities, where he's expected to pardon a pair of turkeys, North Carolina turkeys, called Gobble and Waddle. Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins was in Kenly, North Carolina over the weekend, handpicking these turkeys for their pardon tomorrow. Paul.
And Mari, will be looking out for that holiday tradition tomorrow before the president jets off to Florida for Thanksgiving, that is. But Mari, there's another topic. It sounds like progress was made over the weekend on the Russia-Ukraine front. What's the latest?
Sure, Paul. So President Trump has repeatedly expressed frustrations recently over the duration of the Russia-Ukraine war, often saying that of the peace deals he's helped broker, he thought that this one would be the first, and saying that the war would not have started had he been president at the time. But today there's a glimmer of hope with President Trump posting to Truth Social, saying, quote, don't believe it until you see it, but something good just may be happening between Russia and Ukraine. This is coming after talks in Geneva, Switzerland, Sunday on a plan to end the war, with both the U.S. and Ukraine releasing a joint statement saying that there's now a refined peace framework, and Secretary of State Marco Rubio saying that this has been their most productive engagement yet. Take a look.
We arrived here today with one goal, and the goal was to take, what, 28 points or 26 points, depending on which version as it continued to evolve, and try to narrow the ones that were open items. And we have achieved that today in a very substantial way. It is probably the most productive day we have had on this issue, maybe in the entirety of our engagement, but certainly in a very long time.
Secretary of State Marco Rubio says that they want to try to stick to this Thursday's Thanksgiving deadline set by President Trump for Ukraine to accept the plan, but that there will be some fluidity there because more conversations need to be had before then. And meanwhile, on other foreign affairs, President Trump is posting a readout of a call that he had today with Chinese Communist Party leader Xi Jinping. President Trump saying that they discussed Russia-Ukraine, fentanyl, soybeans, and other farm products in that call, and announcing that he'll be visiting Beijing in April at Xi Jinping's invitation, and that later next year, Xi Jinping will be coming to the U.S. for a state visit. Paul, back to you.
Some important developments in Europe, Mari. Mariotsu at the White House. Thank you. And Russia has responded to the latest peace plan drafted in Geneva yesterday. The Kremlin says this version is not acceptable.
We learned this morning about the European plan, which is completely non-constructive and not acceptable for us at first glance. Mr. Rubio announced that the U.S. side has been completely satisfied by the Geneva talks with the Ukrainians. But he also said that there were 26 points, so there were a lot of different speculations. It is unclear whom to believe.
Putin wants legal recognition for what he has stolen, to break the principle of territorial integrity and sovereignty. And that's the main problem.
Zelensky added that Ukraine will continue working with its partners like the U.S. and European nations, and the president of the European Council said the EU will keep supporting Ukraine as peace talks move forward. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer weighed in today as well. He said there's more work to do to establish a just and lasting peace, but added that progress is being made. And as the Trump administration works with Ukraine on a peace plan, lawmakers are gearing up to sanction Russia. NTD's Melina Weiskup has the details.
As U.S. leaders are working towards a peace deal to end the Russia-Ukraine war, lawmakers are pushing ahead with plans to sanction Moscow. Congressman Brian Fitzpatrick urged the administration to continue working its peace through strength strategy. He plans to force a vote on Russian sanctions. Republican leaders in the House and Senate have previously voiced support for sanctioning Russia, and Trump has green-lighted the effort.
We want to make sure that we're doing everything we can to give the administration the tools that they need to facilitate and bring about a peaceful resolution between Russia and Ukraine.
The expected vote comes as the Trump administration is working to close a deal to end the war in Ukraine. As details are still being worked out, Congressman Michael McCall is the former chairman for the House Foreign Affairs Committee. He's pushing to ensure an ironclad security agreement for Ukraine to prevent a repeat of the failed Budapest Agreement of 1994. Reporting from Washington, D.C., Melina Weiskup, NTD News.
And an update on soybean purchases. Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins says the Trump administration expects to have deals regarding aid for U.S. farmers and Chinese soybean purchases within the next 2 weeks. She was speaking on CNBC.
They've already put in a purchase order. We've already started shipping soybeans their way, almost 1.5 million metric tons. We have every indication they will continue to buy soybeans, sorghum, et cetera. But it goes to the larger effort of President Trump. We can't be so reliant as Americans producing American products on one country, a foreign adversary. So opening up, Japan's going to buy more soybeans. The EU's going to buy more soybeans. There are countries all around the world now that have committed to that.
The Agriculture Secretary expects more and more markets for U.S. agricultural products to open up next year. Rollins says China will ink a deal on soybean purchases this week or next. And on aid for farmers, Rollins says the administration will have an announcement within the next 2 weeks. And the U.S. and the European Union will be working to diversify their trade relations. Here's EU's Trade Commissioner after a meeting today with the Secretary of Commerce, Howard Lutnick.
There are 12 countries, mostly in Pacific, who would like to work much closer with us. And this is, I think, extremely important signal because we are talking about 30% of GDP and 40% of trade. Then I provided the detailed information about ongoing negotiations with India, with UAE, and the interest of all other Gulf countries to join the track and to start working again on the region-to-region agreement. And I expressed my hope that by 2027 we would be in a position to complete the free trade negotiations with Philippines, Thailand, and Malaysia. So we are clearly diversifying as much as possible, opening new market access for our entrepreneurs.
EU officials said they had a very constructive and frank discussion with their U.S. counterparts on trade, and more meetings are still underway today. The EU will be working to lower tariffs on the U.S. following a trade deal from August, but the Union does not expect a deal to ease U.S. steel tariffs to come out of this week's talks. The two sides will also work together to tackle challenges in rare earth minerals. This comes after China, the world's dominant player in rare earths, announced export controls. Here's what the European side said about trade relations with China. And a senator and Navy veteran is under investigation for his role in a video to U.S. troops. The Pentagon has launched a probe into Democratic Senator Mark Kelly of Arizona over possibly breaching military law. Senator Kelly and other lawmakers shared a video last week on social media that called for military members to refuse unlawful orders. Kelly served as a fighter pilot in the U.S. Navy. In a statement, the Pentagon explained that retired service members could be recalled to active duty for possible court-martial. The Pentagon said it's reviewing the allegations to determine further actions. We'll keep you updated. And the United States has formally designated Venezuela's president, Nicolas Maduro, as a member of a foreign terrorist organization. The designation is for alleged involvement in the Cartel de los Soles. It's used to describe a decentralized network of Venezuelan groups within the armed forces linked to drug trafficking. Administration officials have been making the case the designation will give the United States expanded military options for striking inside Venezuela. It comes as the U.S. military has amassed more than a dozen warships into the region as part of what the Pentagon has branded Operation Southern Spear. And the U.S. military has killed dozens of people in boat strikes as part of the anti-drug trafficking campaign. Maduro has always denied any involvement in drug trafficking and the existence of the alleged cartel. His government today rejecting the terrorist designation, calling it, quote, a ridiculous fabrication. And the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff will meet with U.S. Southern Command service members in Puerto Rico today. The American military footprint there has grown amid the Trump administration's consideration of military action against Venezuela.
The Pentagon says General Dan Kane will visit the territory where most of the roughly 10,000 troops in the Caribbean are believed to be based. The U.S. military has conducted bomber flights up to the coast of Venezuela. Meanwhile, airlines have canceled flights after an FAA alert citing increased security risks around Venezuela.
And a major battle over press access continues. An appeals court will hear oral arguments today in the Associated Press dispute with President Trump over access to presidential events. The D.C. Circuit is reviewing the administration's appeal of an April ruling. The decision found it unlawfully restricted the AP after the news organization refused to name the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America. District Judge Trevor McFadden had granted a preliminary injunction ordering the White House to restore AP access to the Oval Office and other news spaces. The injunction was paused in June. That was while the appeals court considered the administration's case. Trump signed an executive order in February to change the name of the body of water to the Gulf of America, but the AP said it would continue to use the Gulf's old name while acknowledging the new name Trump has chosen. And the Trump administration moving to designate the Muslim Brotherhood as a foreign terrorist organization. What would this mean for Americans? An expert breaks it down for us. We have that and more after the break.
A performance that truly matters for each and every one of us. This is what you've been waiting for. Shen Yun. Get tickets now at kenyun.com.
I can't get a hold of my mom.
I'm sure it's nothing.
I've called her 5 times.
I'm sure she's fine.
Is Grandma okay? Help! I've fallen and I can't get up.
Don't worry, ma'am. We're sending help right now.
Hello?
Hello, this is Life Alert. Your mother had an emergency, and we dispatched paramedics to her home.
Oh my gosh, what happened?
She had a fall, but don't worry. She is safe, and the paramedics are helping her right now.
Thank you.
Life Alert saves a life every 11 minutes. With one simple touch of a button, Life Alert sends help immediately. Whether it's to report a fall, a medical emergency, or an intruder, Life Alert sends first responders fast.
For a free brochure, call 800-382-9846. 800-382-9846. That's 800-382-9846.
I'm excited to announce that we're having our biggest 3-in-1 sale ever with a limited edition product, a back-in-stock special, and a closeout deal you won't find anywhere else. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to get our MyPillow bed sheets only $29.88. Any color, any style, any size, even kings. Regular $119.98, only $29.88. Once they're gone for good. How about our My Towels? They're finally back in stock, but not for long. Get a 6-piece My Towel set, regular $69.98, now only $39.98. And for the first time and the only time ever, get our limited edition premium My Pillows. They're made with Giza cotton and designer gusset. Queen $17.98, Kings only $19.98. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to get the best offers ever. Quantities are extremely limited, so order now.
This is Pho-licious. Now, what is pho? It's an authentic Vietnamese noodle dish. The Pho-licious chicken pho brings the comforting, aromatic flavors of Vietnam to your bowl. And Mama Thu's signature spice blend. Well, this chicken pho is as close to homemade as it gets without the wait. Some cubed chicken, a little lime, and then the magic moment. See you soon, my friends.
Pho-licious is now available at your local Walmart or walmart.com.
Welcome back. I'm Paul Graney. The infomercial pitchman, popularly known as the Sham Wow guy, is running for a U.S. House seat in Texas. According to a filing from a few days ago, the 61-year-old registered to compete in the Republican primary under the name Offer Vince Sham Wow Shalomi. He became a household name through his promotion of the Sham Wow, an absorbent towel that went viral in the late 2000s. Shalomi also directed and starred in the 1990 film The Underground Comedy Movie. He currently serves as the president and CEO of Square One Entertainment and launched a podcast called The Sham Wow Guy Show in 2023. He told Fox News that he was motivated to run for Congress to fight what he described as wokeism and because of the political infighting in the country. Shalomi joins at least 4 other candidates running for the seat in the 31st District of Texas. The position is currently held by Congressman John Carter, who has already filed for re-election. And authorities say Morgan Geezer, who was convicted for nearly stabbing her classmate to death in 2014, has been located. She briefly disappeared this weekend after cutting off her monitoring bracelet and leaving a Wisconsin group home. Before being located, police said she was last seen Saturday night in Madison with an adult acquaintance. Investigators said the pair took a bus to Illinois, where officers later found them at a truck stop. Police say the man with her was questioned and charged with trespassing and obstructing identification. Geezer has been under supervision since a judge approved her release from a state mental health facility earlier this year. Police say she'll now remain in custody while awaiting an extradition hearing in Cook County. Geezer was only 12 years old when she and a friend lured a classmate into the woods, then stabbed her 19 times, telling police they did it to appease the fictional character Slender Man. The victim survived the attack, and Geezer was later found not guilty by reason of mental disease or defect and was sentenced to up to 40 years in a psychiatric institution. And a major immigration case could be on the way. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem said yesterday the federal government plans to evaluate temporary protected status for people from Somalia. TPS is a legal safeguard against deportation for immigrants from certain countries.
We plan to follow the process that's in law to evaluate TPS and how it applies to different countries and individuals from them. It was never meant to be an asylum program. It was always meant to be put in place after an incident or an event on a temporary basis, and that's what the evaluation will be.
President Trump said Friday he would immediately strip Somali residents in Minnesota of temporary protected status. The announcement drew protest from some state leaders who categorized Trump's declaration as a legal, dubious effort. In a social media post, Trump said that Somali gangs had targeted Minnesota residents. He referred to the state as a hub of fraudulent money laundering activity. Federal prosecutors have in recent weeks brought charges against dozens of people in a social services fraud scheme. Some of the defendants hail from Somalia. A report produced for Congress in August put the number of Somalis covered by TPS at around 700 nationwide. And according to an online outlet, Just the News, President Trump will give the Muslim Brotherhood a foreign terrorist organization designation. NTD's Colin Fredrickson has more.
The group has long been seen as a destabilizing factor in the Middle East. The group is also credited with radicalizing young Muslims worldwide. Just the News says President Trump has considered the designation since his first administration. At the time, Muslim Brotherhood said it will continue its work in accordance with moderate and peaceful thinking and to serve communities and humanity in the way it thinks is right. The Texas governor last week designated both the Muslim Brotherhood and the Council on American Islamic Relations, or CARE, as foreign terrorist organizations and transnational crime groups. Governor Abbott's proclamation said the group's goals are to rule humanity under Islam and that the groups have supported global terrorist actions. CARE has since denied the labels and sued the Texas governor and attorney general. Some countries in the Middle East already have policies against the Muslim Brotherhood. Egypt and Jordan have banned the group. Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, and Bahrain have labeled it a terrorist organization.
And with us now to discuss the new designation is Kyle Scheidler, Director and Senior Analyst for Homeland Security and Counterterrorism at the Center for Security Policy. Kyle, great to see you. Thanks so much for coming on. What does this designation mean for Americans?
Well, if the Trump administration does, in fact, move forward with designating the Muslim Brotherhood, it will be the biggest blow ever suffered by Islamic terrorism since the global war on terrorism began after the 9/11 attacks. The Muslim Brotherhood is absolutely the font of jihadist terrorism. Muslim Brothers have played a key role in forming every Islamic jihadist terror group that the United States has ever confronted. So this is really getting at the very root of the problem.
How would you describe the Muslim Brotherhood and how it came about?
Well, it was founded in the 1920s in Egypt in a response to the abolition of the caliphate in Turkey during that time. The caliphate was, at the time, the sort of theo-political center of Islam, both politically and religiously. And with its abolition, the future of the Islamic movement was unsettled. And so Hassan al-Banna, the founder of the Muslim Brotherhood, created the Muslim Brotherhood as a sort of secret society with the objective of reestablishing the caliphate, reestablishing Islam, not just as a religion, but as a form of governance for both the Middle East and eventually the whole world.
So this is going to be, if the designation comes to be, we're talking about a foreign terrorist organization. Is this something that's going to allow the Trump administration to handle certain things overseas, or are we saying this could potentially prevent terrorist attacks here in the United States?
Well, it could have dramatic effects both internationally and domestically. The Muslim Brotherhood operates in almost every country in the world. In some places, they operate above ground, acting as political parties. In other places, they operate underground as essentially terrorist organizations. For example, in the Palestinian territories, where Hamas is the Muslim Brotherhood representative for that area. Even here in the United States, we have Muslim Brotherhood organizations. Your reporter mentioned CARE as one of those organizations that's been operating in the United States for a very long time. The U.S. government knows that there are U.S. Muslim Brotherhood organizations. They know that those organizations engage in supporting acts of terrorism. You can go all the way back to the Holy Land Foundation trial in 2008 to see that the federal government had an extensive understanding of the U.S. Muslim Brotherhood and its role in supporting terrorism. So if they should choose to move forward with this, there will be investigative threads that they can pull on to target the Muslim Brotherhood both internationally and domestically.
I want to get to CARE, who are operating here just in just a moment. I know Texas designated them as a foreign terrorist organization just last week. But if this designation, again, were to come to pass, are we likely to see the kind of military strikes or similar activity we've been seeing recently in South America with the strikes on the drug boats?
Well, we do not know exactly what form a designation will take if the Trump administration does move forward with this. There are a number of Muslim Brotherhood entities that could be designated. They may go for the International Muslim Brotherhood. That's the structure that controls and cooperates between all the various chapters of the Muslim Brotherhood internationally. They may target specific known Muslim Brotherhood chapters in one country or another. In either case, it's unlikely that this will result in military action. Much more likely, we're going to see sanctions against specific individuals and organizations, potentially shuttering those organizations or seizing funds. But this should be seen much more as a structural and an investigative act than a military act. In most of the places where the Muslim Brotherhood is operating, you have U.S. allies in some level of authority, so it's unlikely that we're going to launch military strikes anywhere. This is all about targeting the money, targeting the organization.
Kyle, we discussed a little bit on CARE. If I'm not mistaken, you said this was a branch or part of the Muslim Brotherhood that operates above on the surface. It stands for the Council on American Islamic Relations, CAIR, C-A-I-R. And just last week, as I said, the Texas Governor Greg Abbott took action against them, designated them a foreign terrorist organization. What is he accusing CAIR of doing?
Well, the Council on American Islamic Relations was founded in the early 1990s to serve as a public relations arm of Hamas. The FBI was actually listening in on wiretaps at a meeting in Philadelphia where CAIR was discussed and ultimately created by what's called the Palestine Committee of the Muslim Brotherhood in the United States, the Palestine Committee being the Muslim Brotherhood structure responsible for supporting Hamas. So they had a meeting in Philadelphia where they discussed how best to support Hamas and its political goals. And one of the things that they determined was that they needed a media arm that would help and assist them with public relations and lobbying and other things on behalf of Hamas. And ultimately, the organization that was created out of that effort was the Council on American Islamic Relations. Numerous individuals associated with CAIR have been charged with crimes, including crimes of terrorism. In the past, CAIR has been investigated for a number of issues, including legal fraud, for having individuals on staff who were not, in fact, attorneys. So they have engaged in a long history of bad behavior, and it's finally catching up to them.
Kyle, got about 30 seconds. Would there likely be legal or political challenges to the Trump administration's designation?
You can count on it. There's been a long pushback politically against designating the Muslim Brotherhood. There were attempts to designate them in the first Trump administration, and there was a great deal of bureaucratic resistance. But I think the president is hearing his base here. The conservative base has been calling for a designation of the Muslim Brotherhood for some time. We can expect a number of Brotherhood organizations will challenge this in court. But as I said, I mean, there are documented federal government documents showing the connection between these groups and the Muslim Brotherhood. So the evidence is there to make the case. It will stand up in court. They just have to be willing to face that in court. But yes, I would actually absolutely anticipate a legal challenge.
Important information. Kyle Scheidler, appreciate it, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
And your 401k may depend on the same 7 AI tech-driven stocks, but could this boom turn into a bubble? We ask economists whether AI investments could drag down your portfolio. We have that and more after the break.
I was a quarterback at Hardaway High School. College first-round draft pick, on and off the field. We were taught to not show any signs of weakness. During the football season, I would stop eating. But I didn't know I was depressed. I thought that something was wrong with me. For 20 plus years was physical. We didn't have any education behind what mental health was. I started to learn it starts here first. If this is together, I'll be better as a father, as a man, and as a husband. Put the importance on your mental health. I'm not scared to talk about it anymore. The first tool is therapy. The second one is positive self-talk. And then journaling, putting your thoughts on paper. We have to redefine what being a strong man is and heal, love your mind.
During high school, I hung with the wrong crowd and I never graduated.
I helped Santiago in many different ways, like all fathers do, because he always wanted to go to college.
I felt a little embarrassed to come back to school, but eventually, once I came here, I knew that it's for a bigger goal.
He was very dedicated, hardworking. He connected with his teachers. He connected with other students. That was one of the key reasons why he was able to keep forging ahead.
It was amazing to see him graduate. This was one thing that meant so much to him, and of course, it meant so much to us too.
With the help of my father and having my son, that was all the motivation that I needed. That support is everything.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
We said we'd never give in to a meltdown.
Okay.
And we'd never babysit with a screen. We said we'd never let the toys take over.
Mariella!
Never leave the house looking, well, and never let them out of our sight. Skylar, come here. Cars get hot fast, and kids can be at risk. Before you leave the car, always stop, look, lock.
Welcome back. I'm Paul Graney. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent says Americans can expect substantial refunds next year. Bessent says he's also optimistic that no recession is on the way. That's despite the damage a record-setting shutdown did to the economy. NTD's Daniel Monahan has more on the U.S. economic outlook.
Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said that while parts of the U.S. economy like housing were in a recession because of elevated interest rates, he does not expect the broader economy to plunge into a recession in the coming months, speaking on NBC's Meet the Press.
I am very, very optimistic on 2026. We have set the table for a very strong, non-inflationary growth economy.
Bessent says no tax on tips, overtime, and Social Security is kicking in, along with auto deductibility on loans for American cars, which will all spur economic growth.
We're going to see substantial refunds to working families in the first quarter of 2026.
The Treasury Secretary says the Trump administration has slowed inflation and is working hard to bring it down further. Bessent says the Council of Economic Advisors has a study on how to reduce the inflation rate.
You know the best way to bring your inflation rate down? Move from a blue state to a red state. Blue state inflation is 0.5% higher, and that is because they don't deregulate, they keep prices up, energy is higher.
Bessent also addressed the filibuster, saying by wielding it, Democrats inflicted tremendous harm on the nation through the shutdown. He said the record-setting closure cost $11 billion in permanent economic damage, an estimated 1.5 percentage points in lost GDP growth in the fourth quarter of fiscal 2025.
If Senate Democrats close the government again, that Senate Republicans should immediately abrogate the filibuster.
Meanwhile, Economic Council Director Kevin Hassett says real wages this year are up about $1,200.
Because of all the jobs that are being created by the trillions that are coming in for capital spending and so on. And real wages, which is real purchasing power, dropped about $3,000 under President Biden. And so I think in the end, people are going to look at their pockets and decide, am I ahead or am I not? And I think that they're going to find that they're ahead.
Hassett says he expects 2026 to be an absolute blockbuster year. The comments from Bessent and Hassett come as Federal Reserve Bank of Boston President Susan Collins said Saturday she's still leaning against the central bank cutting its benchmark interest rates. Members of the Trump administration, including Bessent, have wanted the Fed to lower interest rates, saying inflation has leveled off. Daniel Monahan, NTD News.
And do AI investments pose a risk to your portfolio? Well, a recent report found that just 7 tech companies, that's Alphabet, the parent company of Google, Amazon, Apple, Meta, Microsoft, Nvidia, and Tesla, now represent about 36% of the total market cap of the S&P 500. It's the most popular index fund in America. They're all tech companies, and they're all investing heavily in artificial intelligence. So, if the AI trade doesn't work out as planned, it could drag on your retirement savings. With us now to assess the risk is Daniel Lacaille, chief economist at the Tresses Hedge Fund, which manages over $6 billion in assets. Daniel, great to see you as always. Daniel, does the AI trade keep you up at night?
It doesn't keep me up at night. I hear a lot of very biased assessments of an alleged bubble and similarities to the 2001 tech bubble. But we must remember first that the 2001 tech bubble was not a tech bubble, was a result of the lack of confidence after the fraud of Enron and WorldCom. Nothing to do with what is going on today. What is going on today in artificial intelligence is something completely different. It's companies that have enormous levels of cash and very little leverage, taking a very substantial bet on investments in artificial intelligence because they know that it's the future. And that is a completely different thing from, say, Enron betting on alleged earnings that would never come. This is companies that are making money today, that have enormous earnings and very substantial margins, and taking their cash and investing in something that is going to yield real economic returns. Therefore, it's not a bubble if we look at the leverage. It's not a bubble if we look at the earnings of these companies. And it's certainly not a bubble if we look at the reality of artificial intelligence, because no one is betting on something that is kind of a dream like the velociraptors of Enron. What they're betting is on something that we all use every day and are using more frequently.
How about the concerns, Daniel, that the equipment and the infrastructure that they're investing in will depreciate in value much faster than the companies are predicting? I'm sure you saw the very famous Big Short investor Michael Burry warning about this. What could that mean for potential stock price changes?
I mean, obviously, value is subjective. This is very important. And we need to understand that what is going on right now has absolutely nothing to do with what he was mentioning relative, for example, to financial companies. Everybody must understand that in technology, investment is not a safe bet. No, investing in technology is not like investing in distribution networks where you have a regulated return. You are obviously investing in something in which first mover advantage is very important, but it's also important to understand that technology investment is about creative destruction. It's going to create some other investments to yield no return. And that is not a problem when companies like the ones that you have mentioned are having record levels of earnings, record levels of cash flow generation. Let's remember that 4 of those companies have more cash in their balance sheet than the entire index of some European countries. So if we look at everything, you may think that valuations are elevated. Maybe. But now think of whether are you going to use artificial intelligence more or less in the future? Is artificial intelligence just a fad or something that is going to be implemented throughout the entire value chain of industry, services, etc.? Okay, so if you believe, like I do, that artificial intelligence is not the future, it's the present, and if you believe that the current environment is going to generate a tremendous opportunity in those investments, then the depreciation of some of those investments is going to come with the appreciation of the vast majority of these investments. Anyone understands this? You remember all the people that said that Facebook, now Meta, was making a very big mistake by acquiring WhatsApp? Who says that now? Nobody. This is what's important, is to understand that technology is a completely different thing from valuing banks or from valuing energy stocks.
How about some of the potential hurdles, Daniel? Say, for example, government regulation or the vast amounts of energy that will be needed to power this AI revolution, for want of a better phrase.
No, absolutely. There will be hurdles. Absolutely. No technology company expects this to be an easy ride. And obviously, those are challenges that they're looking into. But we also have to remember that a lot of the mistakes that people make when analyzing a revolution is, the biggest one is called presentism, which is to believe that the level of consumption of energy and the level of investment requirements of today are going to be the same forever. They made that mistake with shale. Remember when they said that it was impossible for the shale revolution to last because it consumed way too much water? Never bet against engineers. Engineers find solutions. Analysts and banks find problems. The reality is that what we are going to face in the next years is certainly regulatory challenges that will be overcome by other opportunities, and we are going to face also the challenges of those investments that will be needed. But the people that are saying that the investments are going to generate an enormous problem for these companies cannot bet on one thing and the opposite. Cannot say on the one hand that those investments will not be able to be implemented, and at the same time say that there's going to be a cash flow problem. Either they're going to implement those investments or they're not. But you cannot bet on one thing and the opposite. That doesn't make any sense to me. So I'm not saying, obviously, can there be corrections? Absolutely, there are corrections. But when we look at what is going on in markets today, the moment that the market starts to recover, it recovers with these names. And it recovers with these names because they're the ones that in net present value, in cash generation, in margins, and in growth of their underlying business, they are the ones that lead. And some people have missed it. Good for them if they think that it's a negative, they can always short it. Why don't they do that?
Daniel, you said that engineers find solutions and bank analysts find problems. That's one for the record books. Daniel Lacaille at the Tresses Hedge Fund. Daniel, as always, thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Have a good day.
And as the tensions between Japan and China continue to escalate, Japan's defense minister said today the country was advancing preparations to deploy a medium-range surface-to-air guided missile unit on an island.
The medium-range surface-to-air guided missile unit planned for deployment at Camp Yonaguni is a force dedicated to protect the island's security. We believe its deployment will reduce the very possibility of armed attacks against our nation and do not consider the argument that it will heighten regional tensions to be accurate.
Japan says the deployment will reduce the possibility of armed attacks against Japan. China reacted today, calling the deployment of missiles, quote, extremely dangerous, labeling it a deliberate move that breeds regional tensions and stokes military rivalry. Japan and China have entered their worst diplomatic crisis in years. It began after Japanese Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi said a Chinese attack on Taiwan could trigger a military response from Tokyo. And automakers once vowed to strengthen their supply chains after the COVID-19 pandemic disrupted semiconductor production. But the recent crisis facing Dutch chipmaker Nexperia exposed an industry blind spot. No one anticipated that low-tech chips would become China's leverage against the West. Here's a look at why.
The auto industry thought it had learned from past chip shortages. Then a diplomatic fight over Dutch chipmaker in Xperia's factory in southern China revealed a new risk. Xperia's plant in Dongguan makes low-tech semiconductors used in things like car brakes and electric windows. They sell for pennies, but when Beijing halted exports, automakers from Nissan to Honda were forced to cut production. The move came after the Dutch government seized Xperia's headquarters, citing concerns its technology could be passed to Chinese parent firm Wing Tech. China hit back, stopping shipments and demanding payments in yuan. Following talks between the two governments, the Dutch government took a step back from the intervention, a move welcomed by China, which said it saw it as a quote, first step in the right direction to easing chip supply shortages. Although the Xperia issue has deepened alarm about relying on China, pivoting away isn't easy either, according to Jörg Wuttke, an expert on European trade with China.
So China is just very, very difficult to replace as a supplier. But again, the rare earth case and the Xperia case makes people reconsider what to do in the future, and that might be having a second option elsewhere.
And still to come, NBA coach Chauncey Billups pleaded not guilty today in a sprawling case of alleged cheating that's rocked the sports world. And a highly anticipated trial to determine if an oral version of
Shenyun Creations, the streaming platform from Shenyun, featuring world-class dance, past programs, and all original music. Masterclasses, behind the scenes, comedy, and more. Explore shenyuncreations.com.
I'm Jonathan Lawson. If you're 50 to 85, I have an important message about security. Write down the number on your screen so you can call when I finish. The lock I want to talk to you about isn't the one on your door. This is a lock for your life insurance, a rate lock that guarantees that once you're insured, your rate can never go up at any time for any reason. But be careful. Many policies you see do not have one. But you can get a lifetime rate lock from Colonial Penn. Call this number to learn more. This plan was designed with a rate lock for people on a fixed income who want life insurance that fits their budget and is simple to get. Coverage options start at $9.95 a month, less than 35 cents a day. Act now, and your rate will be locked in for life. It will never increase, guaranteed. This is lifelong coverage that can never be canceled as long as you pay your premiums, guaranteed. And your acceptance is guaranteed, with no health questions. You cannot be turned down because of your health. Call for your information kit and read about this rate lock for yourself. You'll also get a free beneficiary planner. Both are free with no obligation. Don't miss out. Call for information, then decide. Read about the 30-day 100% money-back guarantee. Don't wait. Call this number now.
Call now and you'll also get this free beneficiary planner. Use this valuable guide to record important information and your final wishes, and it's yours free just for calling. So don't wait. Call 1-800-357-4821 for your free information. That's 1-800-357-4821. There's no risk or obligation. That number again is 1-800-357-4821. That's 1-800-357-4821. 1-800-357-4821. Call now.
Come to Mathis Home today and save with Black Friday deals all over the store. They have the largest selection of bedrooms in the styles you like at the prices you'll love. This metal bed with a matte black finish is a classic with a modern flair. Black Friday priced at just $2.99. Check out this upholstered bed covered in an ultra plush fabric. It's a hot buy at just $2.99. They're all in stock now, so you can get fast delivery absolutely free. For style and value, shop the Black Friday deals at your furniture superstore, Mathis Home.
Welcome back. I'm Paul Graney. A highly anticipated trial to determine if an oral version of semaglutide could slow the progression of Alzheimer's disease has failed, as according to drug maker Novo Nordisk. Semaglutide is the active ingredient in popular drugs Ozempic and Wegovy. Smaller trials and animal studies had suggested GLP-1s might help slow cognitive decline or reduce neuroinflammation. However, larger trials like this one were needed to confirm whether patients saw actual benefits. A pair of phase 3 trials were conducted of more than 3,800 adults receiving normal care for Alzheimer's. The trials evaluated whether an older pill form of semaglutide worked better than a placebo. Novo Nordisk said the drug did lead to improvement in Alzheimer's-related biomarkers, but did not delay progression of the disease. The drug maker had long treated Alzheimer's as a long-shot bet for its popular GLP-1 drugs. Results from the trials have not yet been peer-reviewed or published, but will be presented at the upcoming scientific conferences. And the arraignment of a former NBA player and suspended NBA coach Chauncey Billups was this morning as part of the larger sports gambling scandal. NTD's Dave Martin has more.
We had the arraignment, as you said, of former NBA player and suspended NBA coach Chauncey Billups. Now, Billups is in court, flanked by lawyers on both sides of him. He pled not guilty to wire fraud, conspiracy, and money laundering. Now, that part was over pretty quickly. Right after that, then they had this status conference where all 31 defendants and their lawyers were present. Now, the government said plea bargain discussions have begun, but no deals have actually been offered yet. Now, if you remember, this is really two main cases. You had those alleged rigged high-stakes poker games as part of one case. The second was regarding bets on those NBA games using insider information. Now, up next in this case, there's another status conference. It's not scheduled until March 4th of next year. The judge actually, though, indicated he'd like to get this whole thing wrapped up by next September. So they're looking for a speedy trial here, apparently.
And the White House Historical Association and a nonprofit have teamed up to create a Christmas ornament commemorating America's 250th anniversary. The creators say the piece marks an opportunity to reflect on our nation's history and bring the country together. NTD's Andrew Thomas has more.
This limited edition handcrafted ornament features the Declaration of Independence on one side and an America 250 logo with the White House on the other. The country's founding document marked the birth of the nation and independence from Great Britain on July 4, 1776. Organization American 250 collaborated with the White House Historical Association to create the celebratory 24-karat gold-plated decoration.
And that it's a part of this beautiful heirloom ornament, I think is really special. And so we could have taken a lot of different symbolism. We talked about lots of different ideas. But at the end of the day, the anniversary is the signing of the Declaration of Independence.
The White House Historical Association has sold a popular Christmas tree ornament honoring a president or a key White House anniversary since 1981. More than 1 million of those ornaments are now sold every year.
I think something that's so special personally about this year's ornament is that it's so much more than just that it's a symbol of truly this unity that we're trying to strive for.
The ornament is available for $26.95. Andrew Thomas, NTD News.
Looks beautiful. And the holiday train show at the New York Botanical Garden is now back for the season. Miniature trains and iconic New York City landmarks brought to life as the show celebrates its 34th year. NTD's Sean Marshall was there.
Kids and adults can all enjoy the New York Botanical Garden holiday train show. The intricate detail that goes into making these buildings is simply amazing. They're designed after buildings and structures all around New York City. And not only is the train show amazing, but you can also enjoy the magical aura of the diverse plants and flowers all around the Botanical Garden. Each year, the New York Botanical Garden team switches things up a little bit for the holiday train show, with nearly 200 famous New York landmarks like the Statue of Liberty, Brooklyn Bridge, and Rockefeller Center, along with other popular and historical sites. Last year, the Bronx was displayed front and center, and this year, Central Park is in the Hopkins Conservatory main area.
So exciting for kids to come. There's over 30 G-scale model trains here. We have our very famous Thomas the train that they can come and not interact with, but they can come and hang out with, watch him loop around the tracks. And of course, there's so many other types of trains that they can see going across bridges, our famous Brooklyn Bridge, Manhattan Bridge, and then of course interacting throughout the various other scapes and models that have been created here.
Famous Thomas the Tank Engine is so popular that it needs to be a little off to the side and a little bit back from the barrier so kids don't try to take them home with them. And for plant lovers, the train show gives an extra bit of fun to a botanical garden visit.
With a botany class, actually, we just visited the herbarium, but saw some phenomenal specimens, and this is phenomenal here. I love seeing the detail on the trains. It's amazing just seeing how intricate everything is. I just heard someone say that it's all made from natural materials as well, this whole exhibition, which I just find so phenomenally impressive.
I mean, I would say get here. Honestly, it's something you really should see. I'm here with our grandson and my wife and the whole family, and the only thing I could say is if maybe they had a beer stop, maybe some draft beer that you could, find every 30 feet or so. That's the only improvement I can think about.
There are actually drinks available during the nighttime show. Energetic after dark celebrations where you can sip seasonal cocktails and mocktails around the Hopped Conservatory.
Yeah, the team is so creative in how they make all of the different models. They grab various types of twigs, seed pods, bark from trees found in the forests of Kentucky, but also sometimes they find things here at the New York Botanical Garden that has just fallen to the ground that they collect and they add to their collection for when they're making new models for us. So it's all natural materials, which makes it even more special because it adds to the story here at the Botanical Garden.
Seasonal classics and holiday pop favorites fill the air as live performers bring musical sounds of the season to the garden during the night shows. Tickets are starting at $25. Just visit the website nybg.org for all the details. There you'll find tickets for daytime as well as the nighttime experience. Sean Marshall, NTD News.
That looks like fun. Now, with millions hitting the road, rails, and air this week for Thanksgiving, Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy shares an update ahead of the holiday rush. We have that and more after the break.
As we naturally age, many people are getting zero amount of this incredible and unique substance. That's when we start seeing an impact in our joints, skin, nails, and even our digestion.
People ask me, Dr. X, what is the #1 supplement I should be taking? My answer is multi-collagen protein.
People's reactions to me, people were like, what are you doing? What is going on? You look amazing. You have a glow about you.
What makes Ancient Nutrition Multi-Collagen stand out from other brands? 10 types of collagen. It's grass-fed, pasture-raised with vitamin C and probiotics. It's proven to reduce joint discomfort rapidly, continuously, and persistently. It improves the appearance of crow's feet after 4 weeks and improves skin tone after 8 weeks. And it promotes hair thickness, growth, and a reduction in hair breakage.
It has transformed everything from my hair. Like, my hair was starting to kind of just, come out, and I don't have that anymore. My skin feels amazing.
Call the number on your screen and find out how to get a free bottle when you order, plus free shipping and our 30-day money-back guarantee. And as a bonus, we will include Dr. Josh Axe and Jordan Rubin's revolutionary book, Multi-Collagen Makeover, free with your order, plus free shipping and free returns.
I have implicit trust in Dr. Axe because the plan worked. I'm living proof of it.
This is the collagen protein that is backed by clinical studies. It's what my family uses, it's what I use, and I know you're going to benefit in a big way as well.
Love the results or get your money back. This special TV offer is not available in stores. Call the number on your screen or go online now.
I'm excited to announce that we're having our biggest 3-in-1 sale ever with a limited edition product, a back in stock special, and a closeout deal you won't find anywhere else. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to get our MyPillow bed sheets only $29.88. Any color, any style, any size, even kings, regular $119.98, only $29.88. Once they're gone for good. How about our My Towels? They're finally back in stock, but not for long. Get a 6-piece My Towel set, regular $69.98, now only $39.98. And for the first time and the only time ever, get our limited edition premium My Pillows. They're made with Giza cotton and designer gusset. Queen $17.98, Kings only $19.98. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen.